Yo, what is up, guys? Heading back to the garage now. We may actually be able to get this bitch started tonight. I just contacted Brad from Snake Eater Performance and got some dead times for the injectors. So we're gonna have to play with them and see how they work out. But we've just got a few things left to do and we can start it. So I just gotta do cams, put the cams in, adjust the valves. Simple stuff, fluids, shift linkage. I gotta fix the exhaust, but we'll catch back up when we get back to the shop. Hey, how you doing? What's up? I want to drive it. I'm tired of working on it. Just kidding on that last part. I love working on this car. But I want to drive it, so let's get the fuck moving, huh? Alright, let's get these cams in. We're gonna have to lube everything and torque it down to spec. And also we need to install our camshaft seals. I'm gonna install the camshaft seals, and then we'll install our cams into our head. With OEM camshaft seals, it's not like OEM parts, man. Seeing this label makes me really happy. We'll get these installed on our CTR camshafts, and then we'll be able to drop them right in the head. So there's one distinctive way to tell that these are CTR cams. On the end of the intake cam, you can see the two lines, and then this like valley on this part of the camshaft. These are indicative of a CTR camshaft. I'm so stoked that I got my hands on a set of these. These things are gonna make this car feel fucking fantastic. So before we install the camshafts, I'm gonna make sure everything is very well lubricated. Don't want any dry starts on the start up. Gonna make sure everything is nice and greased. I'm gonna set them in, torque them down in sequence, make sure our camshaft seal is set, then should be ready to time the engine. Before you put the camshafts in, make sure that the engine is at top dead center, cylinder 1 compression. If not, it's going to push down the valve, and if you try to spin over the engine, then you could cause valve to piston contact because it's not timed correctly. So before you put the camshafts in, make sure the engine is at top dead center. And when you're putting the lube on, you got to make sure you don't have anything in between the mating surfaces of the two, the caps, the cam caps, because it can cause false torque and you won't get proper clamping. So you got to make sure you don't have that shit there. Also, it helps to seal, to put a little bit of sealant under the end main caps to around the edge to keep it from leaking oil outside of the head. Just a good, I've done it a few times. I'm not really sure if you're supposed to do it, but it helps. I don't like when shit leaks. So, and what I just remembered, before you put your camshafts in, you need to put your cam covers in because they're not going to fit otherwise. So you can just lift them up and put it on. There's only, I think, 1 or 2 bolts, and then should be set. Another OEM part, these seals, you really can't buy anything else for better quality. So the torque spec for these 8mm bolts are 20 foot-pounds, and the 6mm bolts on the outside are 7.2. My torque wrench in inch-pounds only goes to 10 foot-pounds, so we're gonna test it and hopefully I don't break nothing. But let's get these babies torqued and we'll be on our way. With our 8mm torqued, we can now put in our 6mm bolts and torque them down. Well, our camshafts are torqued. Only thing I have to do right now is get the crank pulley off, put a jack up, undo this mount right here, slip on the belt, and then we can time it. Timing it is not a huge issue, but as you can see, this line right here has to line up. It's hard to see, but there's an arrow right here. Right now, looking at it, it's almost lined up. It needs to go to the right just a hair. From your view, it looks like it's lined up, but it needs to go over just a smidge. It's not even a tooth. It's like a quarter of a tooth, maybe. Not much, but once you have this lined up with that arrow, then you can throw the timing belt on and try and lace it over the cams. So I've got the crank pulley on top dead center. Now, most people attack it from the front. They get the slack all out of the belt, then go up over the camshafts and put it on the timing tensioner side. That seems like the way you should do it because the tensioner can move. It's spring loaded. So if you need less tension, you need more space to move the belt. That works that way. Some people do it the opposite way. I'm gonna hang the front first so I can get it kind of like where it needs to be. Because if you ever timed an engine anyway, at all, like any engine, sometimes it's a pain in the ass. Like you go to time it and you'll get the timing belt on, you'll tension it, it'll look like it's lined up, and then you turn it over and it's off a tooth. So it's just annoying sometimes, but I'm gonna go ahead and try and get this onto the cam. I'm gonna get this timed up and then we'll catch right back up. And this is what I mean by it gets tricky. You can obviously see those lines don't line up, but the crank is on top dead center. It's kind of like, it's kind of annoying sometimes, but you will encounter this. If you time an engine ever, you will encounter this. This shit will happen. It's just inevitable. But just take it off, get it right, and you'll be fine. Now you can see that they're on. I loosened the tensioner, has some slack. I just put a ratchet on here and turned the gear forward, and it skipped a tooth, which then allowed these two to line up with the crank still being on top dead center. Now to tighten the slack out of this, the Helms manual recommends you move the engine forward 3 teeth and then tighten up the tensioner and you're good. You don't want it too tight. As the engine warms up, the head and the block expand away from each other, which is going to make the belt tighter naturally. So if you do have some, like not much, but some like movable belt, that's totally fine. You have to take into account that it's going to expand and it's going to get tighter once the engine warms up. And if you're thinking, oh, it might slip, don't beat on your car when it's cold. Wait till the engine warms up, it'll expand, and the belt will get tighter. I mean, it's a no-brainer. But some people, you know, that's how Honda recommends it. That's how I'm going to do it. Said, attention to belt, you turn the engine forward 3 teeth. 1, 2, 3 in the middle. 1, 2, 3 in the middle. And then you torque the tensioner bolt to 40 foot-pounds. Alright, so now that we have the engine timed and the timing belt tight, we can go ahead and adjust our valve lash. Now to do this, the engine has to be bare bones cold. You haven't started it up all night, it's been sitting, all the heat is out of it. Technically, it has to be below, I think, 100 degrees to do the valve lash. But you'll set the cam gear, you'll set the engine at top dead center, so cam gear's up, the mark facing each other, crank at top dead center. You'll do 1 intake and exhaust. Then you'll turn the crank 180 degrees, and you'll see the cam turn 90 degrees. Then you'll do 3 intake and exhaust. Then another 180 on the crank, 90 on the cam, 4 intake and exhaust, same thing, and then 2 intake and exhaust, and then you're done. Specs for intake and exhaust valve lash: 0.006 to 0.007 inches for the intake, and 0.007 to 0.008 inches for the exhaust. I tend to run them tighter, but that's just me. Since the engine is going to be boosted, I'm gonna thrash on it. I'm gonna run it probably at a little bit looser, but still on the tight side, just because I don't want to burn a valve. When the valve's closed, the heat goes from the valve to the seat to the cylinder head. It helps the valve not burn. So I don't want the valves to burn. So keeping them on the seat longer gets more heat evacuated from it, helps longevity. So. But let's go ahead and get these valves adjusted. That is a tedious process when you don't have the correct tool. There's a special tool with a screwdriver in it that you can tighten. It's like a wrench, and it's got a flathead in it to adjust the valves. I was using a 10 mil wrench and a flathead. It's a pain in the ass, but it's done. Now I can go ahead and put our front timing cover on, put our valve cover on, put our distributor on, fluids in it, install our radiator, and we should be ready to try and fire over. I'm going to kill the injectors with the ECU and let it get some oil once we do try to start it, so that everything is lubricated. But we're getting close. We're getting pretty close. Hopefully she fires tonight. If she fires, I'll be happy. I mean, I'm gonna be happy either way. The shit's getting done. But if she fires tonight, I'll be extra stoked. I still have to do the exhaust, so I just want to see if maybe it'll kick over, you know? So, but let's crank this shit out. More OEM parts. I love it. When putting on the valve cover, you want to put some sealant right in the corners of the camshaft covers, cam caps, right here, both sides. It's just a known place to leak. Even Honda recommends it. I wrinkled this myself. I did as best I could. I think it looks pretty good. Painted the valve, the spark plug cover, this beige color. I think it looks pretty nice. It'll pop once everything's on. But yeah, so I'm gonna get the distributor in now. I gotta get the alternator belt on and tight. I have to get the battery tray in and fluids, and then we can see if she fires. Go ahead and get the spark plugs gapped real quick. All motor, the gap, you could probably run it stock depending on the compression. It is bumped up a little bit, so instead of the 0.044 that is factory, I'm gonna run 0.032. That's just my spec. That's what I ran in the single cam. No issues, no foul outs, no misfires, nothing like that. So I think I'll probably get better fuel mileage if I were to open them up a little, but that's not what this car's about. It's about fucking power, bruh. So I'm gonna go between 32 and 35, probably 32 thousandths, because that's what I ran the single cam at, and it ran beautifully. So yeah, let's get these. I'm gonna gap these real quick and then get them in, and then we can finish up putting everything else on. All right, so spark plugs are in. Put this distributor in here. Didn't change these. This is how it came. If it doesn't fire over, I'm gonna dig into this, but it'll get it started. So here's a question I've been asking myself a lot lately. Is my radiator going to work? Because I haven't even opened this thing yet since I got it. I mean, I did open it once, but I didn't really like look at the mounting points, you know, where the brackets are and stuff. So let's do a little unboxing, I guess. I think this might have stock mounting points for a fan. I hope so, because I don't have a fan right now. So it's kind of sketch, but SKUNK2 Alpha. This thing is pretty. I see a bracket and I see 2 feet. I wonder if they're gonna match up. I hope at least one does. I'd be happy if one did. So let's see if this radiator fits. I'm banking on that it does, because I really don't want to put that stock big gas joint in here. And I don't know if it'll touch the header. Oh man, I kind of want to wear new gloves for this. Woo! Purdy! I like how the drain is over here instead of on the opposite side. I think we got good news, guys. I see one foot that works. What I can do in the future is cut off this other foot and scoot it over. But let's set this down in here real quick. Wow. Yo, that fitment is pretty damn good if you ask me. Damn. I still have this bracket, so I can use this. That's a plus. We'll grab that real quick. I do only have one bolt going in it. When I took the rad out before, a bolt broke. Not really you can do with a car this old, so other than drill it out, and I just really haven't been worried about it, I guess. I hope the hoses keep it still, because I really don't want it rattling. I think it'll be fine. We get this tightened down, and then we'll put the hoses on. So just from what I'm seeing, this my stock fan will work perfectly. It's got all 4 mounting bracket spots that place perfectly. Like this one is closer to the radiator than this one, which is the same on the fan. It's done really well, and I'm surprised by it, but I expected to have to do more stuff, I guess, to get it to work. The only thing I really have to do is make sure this doesn't flop around, which I can just cut off that foot and move it over, and it'll be perfect. But I'm gonna get this fan on here before I put these hoses on, and I'm gonna have to cut these hoses just so that they can fit. Like, as you can see, this one's pointing over here. To get it to work, I'm gonna have to cut probably 3 inches off of the inside so it comes out straight, which is not a huge deal. The bottom one should hook right up, so I'm gonna get the fan hooked up, and yeah, we'll be right back. So guys, I got the radiator mounted with the fan. I got all the hoses on the radiator. Only thing really left to do is to get the alternator tightened, fluids in it, battery, put the intake on, and the shift linkage and traction bar, which is not a lot of stuff. I'm gonna knock that out tomorrow, and then we get to start it. So I'm gonna head in for the night, so I'll see y'all tomorrow, and we'll get this bitch running.